An entitled manager acts like a complete jerk to my mother-in-law, refusing to give a store credit to us after his employees delivered our food incorrectly to our house. But eventually, we decide that enough is enough, as we choose to take the corporate route, forcing this jerk of a manager to comply with our reasonable request. And I'm seriously so blown away by how rude this guy truly was. Here's what happened. So this past Sunday, my mother-in-law had ordered pizza for everyone at her house. This is something she does regularly for her family. She's very kind and generous, often taking the younger kids into her home on weekends, so the kids and parents in our family have room to breathe for just a little bit. That doesn't leave much free time for herself because she works as a full-time nurse during the week. We always thank her, we make sure she doesn't need a break that week, and let her know how much we appreciate her. This weekend though, she went above and beyond. She had the 15 and 12-year-old girl cousins and my 6-year-old son from Friday to Sunday night. All of this while bringing him to the birthday party we planned and set up for our own son on Saturday, and then offering to keep him afterwards. I mean, she really is amazing. So back to the pizza. She likes to order from that hut that makes pizza, and normally there aren't any problems. This time though, when her food was delivered, the pizzas were cold and they had forgotten 4 sodas. She was rightfully upset and called the store to see if they could still deliver the drinks or if she could get a discount or some kind of refund. Now, it really should be noted that my mother-in-law was very respectful. So when she called the store on speakerphone, what I heard in response was honestly mind-blowing. My mother-in-law started off by saying, "Do you know if the driver who just dropped off our order could bring the sodas back? I think they may have forgotten them." The man on the other end of the line, who is the jerk of this story, responded to my mother-in-law by saying, "Nah, I can't do that." My mother-in-law said, "Okay, could I get a refund or something like that instead?" This jerk said, "Your driver was through DoorDash, so you'd have to talk to them about that." My mother-in-law at this point was confused. She said, "Oh, I didn't know that you guys did that. Don't you guys deliver?" The guy on the other line then says, "Yeah, well, when it gets too busy, DoorDash just covers our other deliveries." My mother-in-law then said, "Wait, I paid a $5 delivery fee to the restaurant, not to DoorDash. Where does that money end up going?" The jerk on the other line then loses his patience. He says to her, "Look, what do you want?" My mother-in-law says, "Well, I was hoping for some answers on my delivery and a discount or a refund. Is there a manager that I could speak with?" The jerk on the other line then screamed out that he was the manager and then reiterated, "What do you want?" Now, this is about the time me and the cousins noticed his tone shift. We were like, whoa, what is going on here? As it's right about here that things really started to escalate. My mother-in-law then asked if she could have his name, and this jerk said, "Nah, you don't need my name." So my mother-in-law circled back and said, "Can I just get a store credit or something like that?" But this entitled jerk once again screamed out, "Nope, can't do that." With all of us in the background, now joined by my younger brother-in-law who also lives there, we remarked by saying, "Why is he being so rude? They were the ones who forgot our drinks. We weren't even rude to them." My mother-in-law says the magic words. She says, "I think I'm just gonna call corporate, thanks." And it's right about then that this entitled jerk's tune suddenly changed. He took a pause and then he said, "You still want that store credit?" My mother-in-law said, "Yes," and then she recited off her number. But before she could even get the full number out, this entitled jerk interrupted her and said, "What's your number again?" And it's right about here that my mother-in-law's voice raised because she was getting fed up with his rudeness. She said to him, "I was just saying it," and then she said it all over again. The entitled jerk then cuts in and says, "It's credited. You need anything else?" And my mother-in-law once again said, "Yes, I need the number to corporate if you have it." But even then, this entitled jerk said, "Nope, can't give it to you," with my mother-in-law eventually saying, "Then no, you can't help me." And then she hung up. Now, honestly, this whole thing really made me upset because of how much my mother-in-law had done for the family all weekend. So truly, to that entitled jerk, shame on you. You should not be in a professional position and speak to people that way. As an ex-pizza place worker myself, I understand how rough the job can be, but that's no excuse to lash out to a customer who simply wants what they ordered or a refund if you can't provide it, because this guy's behavior was completely inappropriate. Yeah, that guy was being a massive jerk. It's very obvious that his store messed up, and they're the reason why this did not go out correctly. Like, he was just defensive right off the bat, getting incredibly rude and snappy with his mother-in-law, while also like refusing to give a store credit when they messed up. And I don't believe that for a second that this is somehow DoorDash's problem. I'm 100% convinced that it's the pizza place's fault, and they're the ones that have to pick up the tab. And for this manager to act this way is just so uncalled for. So good for you and your mother-in-law for getting this taken care of, but hopefully some kind of justice was brought down on that manager, because the way he was talking was completely inappropriate, and your mother-in-law absolutely did not deserve that. that. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to AmITheJerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for refusing to babysit last minute and ruining the parents' important plans, all because their son seemed older than what they said they were? Because right now, everybody's angry with me, and at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. So I'm a 19-year-old female, and I've been babysitting occasionally for a few families for the past 2 years. A week ago, a new family got my numbers from one of the families that I babysit for a lot. I told them up front that I have this rule where I only babysit boys that are 10 years of age and under, but when it comes to girls, the age isn't an issue for me. They told me they had 2 boys ages 9 and 10, so I agreed. They told me that they had very important plans the day I am to babysit, and I reassured them that I am very professional, and I will be there on time and all that good stuff. The day came and I went to their house, and the dad greeted me. Then he took me to their living room to meet their boys. To my surprise, the boys looked like no 9 or 10-year-old I've ever met. One looked about 12 years old, and the other one looked like he could be 15 or 16 years old. Both of them were taller than me, and the older one even had some visible facial hair. All that was going through my head was these parents lied to me about the ages, because I lead with my rule about ages, and they lied to me just so I would accept. When the mother came down and greeted me, I asked to speak with her in another room, and I told her I cannot babysit. I was also truthful about the reason, and she was livid. We got into a back and forth where I basically said that I feel they lied about the ages, and she said to me, "Oh, so you want me to show you their birth certificate to believe me?" And at that point, I was kind of mad because she was immediately livid, and I also felt like I was fooled. So I said, yeah, some proof would really help. She stomped off to the living room, and I could hear her screaming at her husband. She said, "Get this jerk out of my house. I will stay with the boys." I walked out of the kitchen towards the front door, and I announced that I'm leaving before I stepped out. Later that night, the mom of the family who recommended me called and was pretty angry. I explained that these boys looked so much older than they were said to be, and there was no way they weren't lying. She said maybe one is actually 11, but the other truly is 9 years old, and that they just look like they're so much older. To be fair, the mother was tall and the dad was huge. It's actually the reason I asked to confront the mother and not the father. But these boys weren't just tall, they also looked older face-wise. Also, babysitting 2 strange boys who were both taller and clearly so much stronger than me doesn't feel safe, which is why I have the age rule in the first place. There was no way that their mother didn't realize her boys looked so much older than boys their ages. I feel like it was something she should have mentioned, especially after I told her my rules about who I'm going to be babysitting. I felt like I was justified, but I also felt bad about ruining their plans. Everyone involved is angry with me, and I wonder if maybe I was overreacting and should have just babysat since I agreed. Because right now, I don't know what to think, and I seriously don't know what to do. No, honestly, this is not your fault. I don't think you're the jerk at all. I personally think the mom and the dad were completely lying in this scenario, and that's why the mom immediately, like right off the bat, got incredibly upset at you. And that's because you try to stick to your boundaries and stick to your plan. And I also don't blame you for not wanting to babysit any boys over the age of 10. For your own safety, that makes a lot of sense. And the boys you're describing do not sound like kids at all. I mean, one of them nearly had facial hair. I don't know about you, but personally, I've never met a child that has facial hair like that, although I'm sure there's some kind of anomaly out there that maybe I've just never seen before. So if these parents didn't want their night ruined, then they should have been a bit more honest, because clearly they were trying to pull one over on you, and I don't think you deserve that in the slightest. My girlfriend has gone off the rails, as she is blatantly taking advantage of me and refusing to pay me anything towards utilities, while also living in my house rent-free. And I'm now at the point where I'm asking her to leave and move out, because right now I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So my girlfriend and I have been having some serious issues. I asked my girlfriend to move out a couple of weeks ago because I didn't feel like she respects me or my house, and I feel frequently taken advantage of. For reference, I bought a house by myself a couple of years ago when I was partnered in a large business. I didn't recommend that we break up, but just took some space so that she could shoulder some of her own responsibilities financially, just to see what it actually takes to be fully financially responsible as a person. My mortgage is $2,300, and I work from home, so my utilities like the power I cover myself. I've got a car and a small loan that I'm paying off, and overall, my bills are roughly $4,500 more, and since she's moved in, it's maybe like $4,800, and that's not including business expenses, and this is all give or take a couple hundred depending on utilities. Before she moved in, she said that she could afford to give me $600 a month, which basically was $150 a week. I even said that I would take $500 if she could do it all at once, and I would legitimately use this money to take care of her. And that includes absolutely everything: food, utilities, even the occasional herb that I get for myself. I make enough to get by, but not enough to take care of someone else 100%. I make about $65,000 after taxes, and it's my first year as a solo business owner, and I still haven't paid my taxes yet, so I can't say 100%. But either way, I still drive DoorDash in my awful little 3-cylinder gas saver, and this is when I'm not busy doing other things. I work 40 to 60 hours a week regularly, but I love running my own business. Now, back to the point. She's not given me anything in the past 2 months, and she even took a flight to go visit family, and that was cool and everything like that. But when I recommended that she get her own place again, she started throwing stuff and just screaming. There was some minor damage to 2 of the walls and a few holes from picture frames, and then she threw my pasta roller and put a dent in the hardwood floor. I'm not saying her mental health is more important than my house, but after throwing several smaller objects, she was slowly starting to grab bigger objects, and so I eventually tried to stop her by grabbing her hand. And when I did that, this 110-pound girl started punching me in the face. She hit me 4 times really quick before I let go. For reference, I'm 5'9" and 190 pounds, and I'm in great shape, and I've never been more shook up by someone hitting me. I just wanted her to stop throwing my stuff. I eventually lost it. I backed away screaming, "What in the world is wrong with you? You actually just hit me." I started screaming some nasty words while I was angry, how her best friend was trashy, how I wanted her out this instant, how she was lazy and ungrateful, and how she needed anger management, and that her parents didn't finish raising her. When she told me that I was being crazy, I realized I indeed was being pretty crazy, and I stormed off downstairs in my office to be alone. I was extremely upset that I had lost my temper, but was shocked that she had hit me as well. I was really going through it emotionally. Now, for a bit of backstory on this best friend of hers, they are constantly going out weekly and drinking, or just going on day trips weekly. They've also worked together and have been fired from multiple jobs together, and this is due to both of them drinking on the job. And I was hyping her up to look for a new job because she hated her current one so much. Now, here's the thing. I'm cool with having fun. I just can't get my head around going out with friends when she is so broke, she doesn't even have the funds to afford new windshield wiper blades. The next day, there was a sorry card and some flowers, but nothing was said about it for another 24 to 32 hours. That is, until I was at the gym and she asked me if I was just going to ignore it. I told her I was waiting for her to give it to me so we could talk, and I got home and I came home to the card ripped up and the flowers in the trash instead. I pulled it out and the card literally just said, "I'm really sorry, I love you so much." And I pulled the flowers out because I thought they were nice. We talked for a bit and things calmed down just a little bit, and communication has been alright for about a week or so. Well, today rolls by and the same thing happens, where she didn't give me any money, which is something we agreed upon last Friday that she would do. Also, I have to force her to do chores and she's got an attitude about it the entire time. I literally put all her clothes away because they were just thrown all over the guest room. So today we make plans to go to the store after she got back from the gym today at about 12 o'clock. She texted me that she doesn't want to go to the store and that it makes her anxious and she will just send me some money. And this was all at 1:50 p.m. too. She also stated that she was going with her friend to go get some lunch, this being the same friend that I don't like. So I told her that I had just wanted to spend some time with her because I only needed to grab a bag of protein, and that I was only really going so she could grab some stuff herself. And this is because all she does is complain about being hungry the day before and that there was nothing else to eat in the house. I also said that I wasn't going to spend that time by myself shopping for the both of us when I have over 2 weeks worth of protein, veggies, and carb sources that I'm going to use for myself at the house. She just replied by saying, "LOL, really?" And I asked her what she thought was so funny. At this point, it's like 4 p.m. now, and she's like posting pictures of her and her friend's family, as well as several of her friends playing a board game, as well as drinking some drinks. And when I saw that, I just got more annoyed. She told me I was being selfish, and I snapped back by saying, "It's not like I was waiting to hang out with you all morning." I mean, I pushed back work on her day off, but she'd literally rather go play games with her friends and drink and hang out with them instead of me. And she's got to go to work with them tomorrow. I then also reminded her that she's given me nothing towards any bills for over 2 months, and that she should probably get her own place, because then she might be a little bit more grateful for all the things I've done for her. Well, she left for the gym and came back 8 hours later, and I just cleaned the guest room out and asked her to sleep in there. Honestly, I am so upset to be in this this position. I feel like I'm going to lose a friend, but I honestly cannot let someone take advantage of me like that. I know I'm far from perfect, and she says asking where she is mad controlling. But I just think it's common courtesy to let your significant other of over a year, who you also live with by the way, to let them know exactly what's going on in your life. I mean, I didn't know what was happening for almost 5 hours. Look, I love her, but between the hitting, the lack of motivation, the awful trashy friends, I mean, should I just get her out of here? Am I a complete jerk? I felt like I was asking the bare minimum, but she can't even give me that. What should I do? I can confidently say that your girlfriend does not care about you, and she is using you for a place to stay. Like seriously, let's look at the facts real quick. This lady is not thinking about you in the slightest. She's using you and basically like getting out of paying any kind of bills. She has physically hit you, which is a massive red flag. She also is neglecting you and is refusing to talk to you in some kind of like functional way. Like that's insane to me, and there's no good excuse for that. For reference, by the way, the original poster is 32 and his girlfriend is 31. Like the way your girlfriend's acting, it really seems like she's stuck in her teenage years because her behavior is so atrocious. This is not fair for you in the slightest, and it puts you in an awful position because clearly you love this lady, like you obviously have some kind of connection with her and you want to try and make this work, but she is taking advantage of you left and right, and she's doing nothing to improve the situation, and that in and of itself is just completely unfair. So I know if I was in your shoes and I had a girlfriend acting like this, I would not feel bad about saying, look, you've got to go. You got to find your own place and figure your own stuff out, because you can't just live in my house rent-free and then also treat me like garbage and hit me and throw things around my house and expect me to want to keep you around. And if anything, with all things set aside, the fact that she punched you in the face repeatedly, as well as threw things around the house, in my opinion, is unacceptable. That is an absolute deal breaker for me, and there's no way she's ever gonna stay there if I was in your shoes, because she absolutely could have been arrested for a lot less than that. And in my opinion, you deserve a much better relationship than what your girlfriend is currently giving you. I have a guest who has overstayed her welcome and has completely taken advantage of me in a way that I never expected, and I'm now at such a loss that I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. I'm a 26-year-old female, and I am trying to figure out a way to tell a guest of mine who's 38 years old that she needs to leave my apartment. For a bit of background, I only knew this lady for about a year through mutual friends. We were not extremely close, but had simple, cordial interactions. One day, the lady wanted to hang out at my place, which turned into frequent visits. She then told me that she was in the process of finding a new apartment, but the move-in date for the one that she wanted was 2 weeks away, and she would need to go out of town to stay with family and come back. So I offered this lady to stay with me instead in the meantime, and I now regret this decision. I should have known better and found out her character the hard way. I truly thought there was no issue with her because she does have a good job and she is 38. Well, it's been about 2 months now, and it doesn't seem like this lady is going anywhere. She brought many of her clothes and items. She goes to work and comes back, and I'm now feeling so uncomfortable in my own apartment. And in addition, this lady is apparently very nosy and wants to know everything, every single step outside that I take. The lady is always overwhelming me with her life drama to kind of make me feel bad too. I later learned that she is a people user, as she's actually told me that she stayed with other people over the past few months. I am struggling to figure out how to ask her to leave without turning into the bad guy. I am in a long-distance relationship, so I thought about asking my man to come, but I am convinced this lady will not leave until the day of and will want to come back around. So I'm honestly at such a loss, and I seriously don't know what to do. Okay, first things first, I think you need to get the idea of being the bad guy out of your head completely. You need to embrace the fact that she's probably gonna have some kind of reaction from this, and that is honestly not your problem. She is invading your space. She said she was gonna be there for what, 2 weeks? And that has slowly morphed into 2 months. This lady could obviously find another place to live because you're not the only person that's had to deal with this in the past. So any notion of like, oh, but she has nowhere to go, that thought is a complete lie, and you need to chase that out of your head. Because the fact of the matter is that this lady is using you. She is using you as a free place to stay, as well as having a place to stay without any kind of rent. You've also hit the nail on the head when you identified her as a people user. Like, there's very clearly a pattern here, and it's unfortunate that you had to learn this the hard way. Also, all this drama that she's trying to share with you, as well as her being like, oh man, I need a new apartment, but I don't know how to get there. Like, it's all manipulation tactics. She's only sharing that to try and make you feel guilty, so you will feel forced to try and let her stay in your apartment just a little bit longer. So honestly, in my opinion, it's time to start communicating your boundaries boundaries and explain to her upfront exactly how you feel. It's time to lay it all out on the board and say this is how it is. Give her a timeline of when she needs to move out so that you can have your apartment back. Because this is not a permanent engagement. She cannot stay here forever. That is not what you agreed upon. And if she throws a fit, well then fine, throw a fit. But do that while you're packing your bags and getting out of my house. Because what she's doing right now is completely inappropriate. And I know if I was in your shoes, I would be making these steps much sooner than later. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.